Hello. So, I always start videos by saying hello, so I look like Dookie. I'm gonna doodle. I like doodling. While I doodle, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my health and kind of experiences I've been having over the last year. Um, so I got diagnosed today with dissociative seizures, absent seizures, whatever you want to call them. And I have been dealing with these for probably a little over a year now. And essentially, for those of you who might not already know, absent seizures are basically they're quite different from epilepsy in some ways and quite similar in others. The main difference from my understanding and my research, obviously I've only just found out that this is exactly what it is. We had our guesses. To go back to the beginning, let's just, because I'm always all over the place with my thoughts and I'm doodling to try and keep myself focused, but I don't know if that's working. I might have to stop doodling if I can't retain focus. But about a year ago, me and my partner became temporarily homeless. We were very fortunate to have friends and family to stay with, in that we never actually had to live on the streets. We never had to spend a night on the streets, thankfully. And we're very, very fortunate and blessed to have had the people around us to be willing to take us in and help us and whatnot. But yeah, while this was happening, kind of that lasted for about 6 months before we got our place where we are now. And this is our first house that we've rented together. So we kind of just spent a while switching between friends, sofa surfing and whatnot. My mum put us up for a while and we were very fortunate in that regard that we had somewhere permanent for a few months. But yeah, it was just generally quite a stressful time. For those of you who don't know, I work full-time as a chef, or I usually do. Not so much at the moment. But at that time where we were homeless, I was working like 55 hour weeks to try and give us the money to keep going, basically, because the unfortunate thing about homelessness is it's hard to work, and then it's hard to build up a deposit, and then it's hard to get yourself out of that cycle. And like I said, we were just very, very fortunate to have good people around us who were willing to help. So yeah, that was that. I was working a lot. I was stressing a lot constantly. I already have, as a person, I'm very anxious. I'm a worrier. I suffered with depression for a long time and insomnia. Basically throughout that kind of 6-month-ish period where we were homeless, I was just essentially living in survival mode. I would wake up, I would barely eat, I would barely sleep, I would just work, come home, lay down for a few hours, work, come home, lay down for a few hours. And I honestly kind of preferred it that way, because there was having nowhere secure to feel like home made it harder to relax, so I almost didn't even want to try. So yeah, that was it was a rough time. And I just kind of kept going through it. I was traveling a lot for work. I was, like I said, doing crazy weeks, doing open till close, day after day. And if you've ever worked in a kitchen, you know that those open close shifts are brutal. So doing that multiple days in a row, or it was just a whole lot. And like I said, we're very fortunate to have had connections and people to help us get out of that, and B, to have found the place that we are at now. We are probably going to have to move soon, which is a massive stress factor for me, but for now, we are very fortunate to have what we have, and we're fortunate to have had it for as long as we've had it. We've been living here for about 9 to 10 months now. No, not quite that. That's how long we've been. It would be, I think, about 8 months we've been here. And kind of around... so the seizures started happening when we found out that we were becoming homeless. Kind of the first big step was around that time. I was working a lot, I was not sleeping, I was not eating, and basically my brain and my body just started to revolt and say, no, I've had enough. To begin with, they were very few and far between, very manageable. There wasn't really too much to it. It wasn't until kind of, I think, even like as I was saying, doing those 50-hour weeks working in a kitchen, I was having seizures, just not massively frequently, and never really at work. So it was kind of, for one thing, I was convincing myself that I was having anxiety attacks and just overreacting to them. And for another thing, essentially, that was reinformed and I don't know what the word is. It was reinforced, I think that's the right word, reinforced by kind of my medical professionals and GPs at the time, who suggested they were just kind of fainting episodes or just bad anxiety attacks. So I kind of allowed myself to believe that, because it gave me some sense of control over the situation. Because the idea that there are times where I cannot control my body, I can't make my lungs breathe if they don't want to, I can't force my muscles to unclench if that's what I want. It really sucks. It's not fun, it's not a good time. So yeah, fast forward a little bit, and obviously, like I said, they weren't that bad until we settled. And this is unfortunately a relatively normal trauma response, that once you come out of the traumatic experience and you actually allow yourself to feel your feelings and realize kind of, oh shit, what I went through just really sucked right there. Yeah, it can really mess with your brain. And unfortunately for me, with the way my brain works, those thoughts and feelings that were too overwhelming, just simply, my brain said, nah, I can't do this, this is too much for me, I'm a dip. I like to joke that it's like my brain switching itself on and on again. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at now. I have unfortunately been off work sick for the last 2 months. Just the seizures getting more frequent, the insomnia getting worse. I am getting a little bit more support now, which is good. And obviously, like I said, I got that diagnosis today of a seizure disorder, which is going to make a big difference, I'm hoping, in getting help. Because so far I've just kind of been brushed aside a lot. And it's hard, like the gaslighting makes it so easy to convince yourself that it's not happening, or it's not what that is, or I told myself time and time again, like, it's just me having an anxiety attack, I'm overreacting, I can control my body if I want to, I'm just not breathing on purpose, all these kind of things that I tried to convince myself, to try and retain any sort of control when I feel like all of that control is stripped away from me. It's nice to have my hands busy. I hope I can get this up on the screen so you can actually see what I'm doing. So yeah, that's kind of sucked. That's been a real hindrance this last year, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know that you could get seizures essentially based on a combination of like trauma and stress. It does make sense. But when it actually just starts happening, you really just convince yourself it's not. It was kind of really, really hard to come to terms with, and I think I still haven't fully come to terms with it. Because it's quite scary, you know. So a little bit, I'll give you a little bit of information that I have gleaned from what research I've done on dissociative seizures, both recently, like as in the last like week or so, and you know, when the seizures first started happening and I suspected that they were dissociative or absent seizures. Completely lost my train of thought, to be completely honest with you. I'll just lose myself in the doodles for a minute. But yeah, it's scary. It doesn't feel good. Yes, so information that I know about dissociative seizures, because you never know. You know, these things happen out of literally buttfuck nowhere. I mean, I'm not going to say that I didn't have signs that I was close to like my mental limit, but you know, I kept ignoring those signs and saying, you know, but I need money. At the end of the day, fuck my limits, I need money. And now I'm unfortunately reaping the repercussions of that, of trying to survive in this economy. But you know, it is what it is. So dissociative or absent seizures, it's basically like, as I said, like a trauma response. It's your brain saying, hey, this is too much for me to handle, turn it off and on again. That's probably not a professional. I'll preface all of this by saying that I'm not a professional, and this is just from my understanding of what I've researched, and it's like from my own personal experiences. But yeah, I'm by no means a professional, but from my understanding, it's essentially you hit a certain point, you know, and your brain just says, hey, this is too much for me. I physically cannot cope with this. So it just kind of shuts itself down, or like switch it on and off again. Like I said, I like to make that joke. It kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, it can look like a normal seizure, like the kind of stereotypical seizure that you would expect to see with the shaking. Often for me, it's just full body tension. My entire body just clenches like that as much as I can. Like I can't replicate it without having a seizure, you know. But essentially my whole body just clenches up. I can't breathe. Sometimes I shake, sometimes I don't. And I often have muscle spasms, so just fucking throwing myself around. And the seizures tend to last between, I would say, like 10 to 30 seconds each. And I have usually between like 5 to 10 in a short space of time. So that's like quite a whole lot of seizure if you think about it. I think the highest I've had in one like cluster was 13. And I have occasionally just had like individual one seizures, but it is more often than I'm gonna pull that shit right back up. It is more often than not a cluster. I'm so sorry, I'm gassy. So yeah, that sucked. I get really tired afterwards. I get very emotional, very upset. My partner has been amazing in helping me understand and deal with it, and taking care of me. But it's been hard to deal with, and I haven't really wanted to talk about it before because my doctors have been so unwilling to call them seizures. Like I said, this started happening like last September, so well over a year ago now. And just constantly being told that it's not seizures, it's a fainting spell, or it's an anxiety attack. It's really just made it hard for me to cope with, especially because, like I said, I already don't like the idea of not being in control. You already don't want to admit that you're having seizures, you know, it's fucking terrifying. You don't want to have to deal with that. You don't want your brain to be doing that to you. So it's been a long road of like really understanding it and like learning to accommodate myself. Even like recently I had tickets to see one of my favorite artists live, and I unfortunately just couldn't go because I was just so stressed at just the thought of leaving the house that I was like, the travel is going to be too much for me. I'm going to end up having a seizure, and then if I'm, you know, traveling to a concert, it's not really kind of the place you want to have a seizure. So I told my partner to go alone because I still wanted him to go, and as well, like, he wouldn't have been able to enjoy it if he'd been on duty caring for me, because he is a carer. He's a support worker as like a job. That's his actual job title. He's a complex support worker. So I really fucking hit the jackpot. I tell you what, I could not have asked for a better person to help me get through this fucking messy ass life. But yeah, he's been incredible, but like it is a lot on him. This is the doodle so far. You can have a little look. As you can see, I really do just pick shapes and start going, and then add more shapes and then keep going. But it helps me to have my hands busy while I talk. So yeah, that's the thick and thin of it. That's kind of why I've been so on and off the last year. I really want to do more with my writing, but I am unfortunately really it's a setback. I'm not gonna let it affect me too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are definitely days where I have cried my eyes out. I've had like 13 seizures in a row. Like I said, like it's exhausting, man. I won't wish it on my worst enemies, you know. It feels like your body is betraying you. And, you know, for the most part, I feel like numb and absent, but I am conscious. I'm aware. I know what's going on. I hear when my partner talks to me, but I'm just not fully in my body, like, at all. Not in my body at all. My body say, hey, I'm out, got shit to do, wiggle, shit, wiggle. So yeah, that's kind of mostly what I wanted to say, I guess. Get it off my chest, talk about it. It's supposed to help to talk about it. I've suffered with dissociation for a long time, which, you know, I've talked about in my writing. In the first journey to today, you can kind of see a lot of the dissociation there. I was trying to get help for it when I was like 18, 19, but it just, there was not quite the understanding for it, and I didn't understand myself enough. So it's definitely something that's been kind of long coming. It's been years of me fighting it on my own, and don't think I'm winning, to be honest. But you know, we're still here, still fighting. That's the main thing. And you know what? Fuck it, I am winning. I'm winning. I'm publishing books. I'm getting out of bed in the mornings. I'm getting any hours of sleep at night. I'm getting there. It sucks, but unfortunately, it's just part of life, man. Sometimes you get dealt a shit hand, you gotta deal with it, you know? Sometimes you sit and talk about seizures for 20 minutes and do some doodles and some people listen, and that's incredible. In this whole wide world that you would sit here listening to me talk about seizures while I doodle this shitty image, it's pretty wild. Like I said, it's a big stepping stone, big milestone, big fucking hill in my way, but every hill can be climbed no matter how big, and that's the wisdom we're taking with us into the new year. It's November, what am I talking about? But yeah, honestly, I think we're gonna leave it there. I don't try to fill a page when I'm drawing. I just kind of, the same with my writing. When I just do drabbles, I just go where the pen takes me. But yeah, don't really know what else to say about it. It sucks. It can happen. I don't have like some kind of deep takeaway or anything like that, like I usually like to end my videos with. If you want to help me out, if you know, if you watch this video and are like, oh man, this kid seems like he's going through it, how can I help him? I have books coming out. I have books out already, specifically in the new Journey to Today that's coming out, Non-Linear Recovery. Obviously the pieces there are a lot more recent. There's one piece specifically where I speak about the seizures, but generally there's a lot of talk about kind of my absence and kind of trauma and how scared and unsettled I feel like at the moment. Just anxious a lot. Oh, I meant to keep that up because my hair's a state. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching the video. If you watched the video, I think it helped to get it off my chest. I hope it helped. I hope, you know, this isn't going to be a lifelong thing. I think this is something we can deal with and get better from, but it's just, it sucks while it's happening. So just keep it up, man. Keep at it, keep writing, keep fighting. Go read my books. Look after yourself.